All right, mic check. 1 2 1 2. All right, mic check. 1 2 1 2. All right, so here we go. We are live, on and popping right now. We're going to talk about UFC Baku. Obviously, it's going to headline Khalil Roundtree, and then it's going to have Jamal Hill on the other side of that, on the red corner, obviously being the former champion. And yeah, man, Khalil Roundtree being the former title challenger. And a good way to sort of open a fight market in Azerbaijan, in which I don't think the UFC has delved into that part of the world yet. But on any regard, here we are. We're going to start off the stream right now. So let's mark this down on the details, on the description below. The stream starts 9 minutes into this. So 9 minutes into this particular live stream, a bit of a long intro, obviously, just trying to get some things settled, got some coffee going. We're also going to talk about the Israel and Iran conflict that is going on right now. Also, the Tucker Carlson interview with Ted Cruz. We're going to talk about that because there seems to be this prevalent notion, especially with right-wing politics right now. In fact, I got to tell you, right-wing politics right now is extremely divided, right? LOL says, I think Diddy is 26% Asian. Well, what exactly do you have proof of that particular notion, LOL? LOL with multiple O's, right? How do you configure that type of reality, right? I don't know, man. I mean, you look at Diddy, he looks like somebody who is 100% what he is. So I don't know. But the other subject we're also going to talk about is Dana White finally being done with Jon Jones. Okay, now let's get to that particular topic at hand right now, okay? MMA Weekly from Jeff Kane. Shout out to Jeff Kane. Wrote this article about Dana White being ready to move on quickly if he's unable to book Tom Aspinall. So the CEO, UFC CEO, set a deadline to book the heavyweight title unification bout between Jon Jones and interim title holder Tom Aspinall. Okay, so Dana White will either have an announcement regarding a title unification bout between the heavyweight champion Jones and the interim title holder Tom Aspinall in the next couple of weeks. Well, they always say that it's the next couple of weeks, it's this coming up or this and that. I don't know, man, but on any regard, if the fight promotion is unable to finalize the bout, they're ready to move on quickly. And I like that language right there, right, where it says we're ready to move on quickly, because that's primarily the reality of this company, right? They have fights going. After these fights get going, they bring in the next guy, or if this guy can't fight, they bring in another guy. That's how the business is. It's a constant, how do I say this, conveyor belt. That's really the best way to describe the UFC. So Dana White will either have an important announcement regarding a title unification bout between Jones and interim title holder Tom Aspinall in the next couple of weeks if the fight promotion is unable to finalize the bout. And they're ready to move on quickly. That's the main thing that they say here, right? Jon Jones has been an interesting human being to deal with since the day he got here, according to Dana White, with his recent appearance in the Jim Rome show. But I will say this about him. You would never hear me out talking about he's the GOAT, he's this, he's that. If Jones didn't want to fight people. So he's saying that he's not saying that he's the GOAT or this and that, and giving him high praises if if he wasn't like if he wasn't how do I say this, eager to fight anybody at any time, right? So what Dana White is basically saying is that, hey, look, I'm calling this guy the GOAT for a reason. It's because he's ready to fight anytime at anywhere right now. It doesn't seem like it, because there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. They're giving you hints about what's going on behind the scenes, and it's crazy that people all of a sudden just delve into calling him a duck or saying that he's trying to run away from this fight, he's trying to retire early or this and that. But you know what? My stance on Jon Jones is as it follows, right? As it always has been. I don't think that he owes you anything. I don't think that he owes you a fight or anything like that. You know, by the end of the day, you know, you can't force other people to fight. It is their choice, right? Their body, their choice, right? As what the liberal feminist would say. But you know what I mean. It is their choice by the end of the day, and that's really all there is to it, right? But then again, we really don't know what's going on because Jones has publicly shown a little interest in facing Tom Aspinall. But Dana White recently stated that Jones had at least initially agreed to face the interim champion. Okay, so there's an agreement that he was going to face the interim champion. Now, look, obviously, Jon Jones has been in Thailand filming a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter, potentially causing a delay in booking his next fight. Now, what's interesting about that Ultimate Fighter Russian version, okay, being filmed in Thailand, is that I think that is done by a separate organization, maybe M1 Global. So it kind of gives you the question of whether the UFC is working with another promotion, and if so, I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, they work very closely with Ryzen. They seem to be doing a lot of exchange programs with their talent. Obviously, they brought in Kai Asakara from Ryzen, and then I think they are planning on probably re-signing Haraguchi as well, right? So there's some organizations that they're willing to play ball with. So I don't know which Russian organization this is. Maybe it's M1 Global, right? Probably that's the biggest organization in Russia. But on any regard, yeah, so potentially causing a lot of delay for this fight. Whatever the reason for the champion versus champion match hasn't been finalized, has nothing to do with Jones being scared to face Tom Aspinall. Now, Jon Jones never said, I'm afraid to fight this guy, or I don't like this fight for me, or any stuff like that, White said. This is Dana White saying this, and I quote, one time his coach at the time, back in the day, I don't know if he's still with him or whatever, I think it's the only fight he's ever canceled. I had to cancel a show because he wouldn't fight Chael Sonnen. I remember that fight because his fight thought that it was a bad idea to take the fight on a late notice, but had nothing to do with Jon Jones. Now, other than that, Jon Jones has never turned down an opponent here or been afraid to fight anybody, according to Dana White. Watch Clown Show says, why is it taking so long to take the fight? Well, that's a very good question, Watch Clown Show. So Watch Clown Show, the reason why this fight is taking long, I made a video about this, and I urge you to take a look at it. I'm going to show you, I'm going to guide you to where it's at. By the way, guys, hit the like and subscribe button. Everybody around the world that is tapped in right now, I'm about to give you some real epic content right here. It's this video that I have out right now. Okay, Francis Ngannou signs with the UFC. Dana White friends with the president. And I basically talk about the heavyweight division, not only in the UFC, but also in boxing as well. So I kind of show a little bit of some boxing highlight clips there as well. So yeah, man, I think okay, I'm going to explain to you right now. Hold on just a second. I'm going to explain to you why this fight isn't happening, but promise me you'll go watch the video because I have more details on that video than what I'm about to tell you right now. So excuse for just a second, okay? All right. We're back. All right, we're back. Okay, so this is the reason why this fight is not happening with Jon Jones, or why you don't think it's happening. Okay, so for one, they got a Netflix deal that they are working on, okay? That's the biggest thing that you have to understand about this story. If you don't understand that story, you can't understand why they can't just make the fight. Well, look, They want to make a big impression if they're going to go into the Netflix deal. They want to make a big impression. What better impression than to have Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones fight each other on an opening card for DAZN. I'm sorry, not DAZN, Netflix. Right? That's really what all this is about. By the end of the day, it's not about anybody being scared. It's not about anybody wanting to have an early retirement. It's not about this or that or the other. It really is just about money, and not necessarily for the fighters, because the fighters are going to be compensated. If it's not going to be from the UFC, it's going to be from Turkey El-Sheikh, and rest assured they're going to make this fight happen. When and where, we don't know. Now, I would not be surprised if this fight takes place in Saudi Arabia. Now, look, I made another video about 2 weeks ago, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, UFC NYC, UFC 322. Now, my prediction right now is that it's going to be at UFC 322, but in the latest video that I have, I said that it's going to be UFC 224 because it seems plausible that Netflix is trying to open their first year quarterly, which is going to be January, right? That is the calendar of all businesses when you're talking about quarterly matters and things of that nature, right? They open up in January. So what is January? January is most likely going to be UFC 324. UFC 323 is probably going to be in December, and the previous prediction that I had for UFC 322, it is in November, which is the traditional yearly New York card that we have going on right now. Watch the Clown Show says, yes, I've heard they might be using this fight to leverage for media right deals. That is correct. Pizza Roll asks, what do you think about Power Slap? A very interesting question, right? I had interviewed a rapper from the Bay Area. His name is A1, right? He did a video shoot out here. And so, you know, I went there. I got to interview him. It's on my channel, by the way, if you guys want to check it out. It's A1, the rapper. All you got to do is just go on my page and then type in A1, and this is what you get. I didn't even put a thumbnail on it because I was like, well, you know what? He's on here. So why I'm mentioning him is because he mentioned a homie of his that was in Power Slap, right? But I also told him in that conversation, that, you know, it's quite controversial, right? Power Slap, because the thing with Power Slap is you're sitting there very defenseless, right? You're allowing another person to hit you without any defense. It's not a real combat sport per se, but on any regard, it is a sport to some people, and it is a spectacle at best. So that's the best way to really put it, Pizza Roll. Well, let me know what you think about Power Slap. Do you like it? Is it something that you're into? Is it something that you're not really fond of? Or is it something that you're very much excited for? Because you know what? We all often hear how horrible Power Slap is. It's not our thing or this and that. But we never really ask random people around the world how they truly feel about it. But on any regard, okay, so let's see here. UFC Baku. You know what? A lot of the people that are in this card, okay, it's not the most stacked card ever, right? Because if you look at the people that are in it, a lot of the fighters in here don't have a Wikipedia. I mean, obviously, Muhammad Usman is a big name, considering that his brother is a big name, but he's not a big name himself. Ulanbekov is taking on somebody that's not a name, right? Probably a local. I don't even know half of these guys are. I don't even know how you could do a fight breakdown for this, but I'm going to do it anyway, but probably more focused towards the main and co-main event, because by the end of the day, that's what this really is. I mean, there's big names here, but they don't fight bigger names themselves. So, for example, Curtis Blades, you got him fighting all the way out there in Central Asia. He's taking on a dude named Rozvan Kunov. We don't know anyone. Okay, Mytek Orbay. Okay, we know who that is. He's taking on Nazim Sadikov. Muhammad Nayab, he's taking on Bogdan Grad. We don't really know much about him. Oban Elliott, okay, the Welsh gangster. Okay, so we know who he is, but he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so you would imagine not a lot of people know who he is. He's taking on Choi Sok Yong, a Korean fighter. Ismail Nadorov taking on Park Jun Young. Now, the Austrian Wonder Boy, as they say. Okay, so that's an interesting one. And then obviously the Egyptian Greco-Roman wrestler Hamdi El Said Al Dul Al Wahab. Okay, who is fighting Muhammad Usman, the brother of Kamaru Usman, coming off of a win from UFC Atlanta as of recently. So Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree. What I like about this fight is that you're going to get an absolute stand-up banger between them, right? Jamal Hill, very, very well-rounded guy. He would not get to the position where he was at of being a former champion if he was not a well-rounded guy. Now, Khalil Roundtree, I think that he has made this this conscious decision that he's going to be a Muay Thai fighter, right? Meaning that he fights in a way that is inconducive to MMA. In other words, you look at his stance, he does these little Muay Thai stands with the pointy toes and this and that. Let me tell you, that's not effective in MMA. I'm going to tell you why it's not effective in MMA. Okay, the reason why it's very difficult for something like that to be effective in MMA is when you're holding out your feet like this, okay, and you got your toes pointed or whatever, right? You know, the traditional Muay Thai stance. What's bad about that is that you are susceptible to getting your legs being taken from a single leg or a double leg, or just having your legs out there easy for a wrestler to grab at and basically take you down or trip you down, right? So that's sort of Khalil Roundtree's style. Now, I would hope that Jamal Hill does not fully engage with him in the stand-up battle, right? Especially in these crazy exchanges that Khalil Roundtree likes to do. Now, remember, Khalil Roundtree clipped Alex Pereira in their championship fight. Obviously, Alex Pereira ended up winning by knockout, but Khalil Roundtree made a good account of himself, and this is something that Jamal Hill has to really watch out for, right? But I think Jamal Hill, being as tall as he is and as rangy as he is, and being very range educated in the way that he throws his shots, I think that he could pull off a 5-round decision on this one. Same thing with Rafael Fiziev and Bahamondes. I see that going into the scorecards as well. But let's take a look at the career of Ignacio Bahamondes for a second, okay? He took on Jalen Turner, got a submission over Jalen Turner in his last fight. That was back in UFC 313 back in March. Then he went on to, before that, he fought Manuel Torres, got a first-round TKO. Christos Giagos gets a first-round TKO, but he loses to a decision against Ludwig Klein. Now, the reason why I say that this is going to end in a decision, most of the losses that Ignacio has lost to were by a decision, okay? He lost in Combate 50 against Salvador Barreca, which is in Fresno, California. It is basically a regional showdown there. He lost to a decision. Prior to that, a long time ago, maybe in 2017, he lost to a submission rear naked choke. And then in his first few fights in Titan FC 39 back in 2016, he lost to an armbar. John McDessie, he loses to a split decision, unanimous decision against Ludwig. Yeah, so he has a unanimous decision against a fighter named Chris Brown, not the Chris Brown, the singer, but unknown Chris Brown, right? And Chris Brown that doesn't have a Wikipedia page like most of these fighters. He goes to a split decision with him. So he's always in these close fights. Now, Rafael Fiziev, not really that much different, right? I would say, you know what? He doesn't, actually very different. He doesn't go to a decision as much, right? Lost to a decision to Justin Gaethje. 3-fight losing streak right now, right? Lost to Justin Gaethje before Gamrot. He had a knee injury. during that fight against Gamrot, which is why they had to stop the fight early. And then Rafael Dos Anjos, he got knocked out by, he knocks out Rafael Dos Anjos in the 5th round, and that was his last win. So now he's 12-4, okay? Was supposed to be the next top dog of the 155 division. He was a former international Muay Thai champion out of Kyrgyzstan, similar to, I believe, I believe that's where Valentina Shevchenko came from also. So very big in, and also he was a police officer in Kyrgyzstan, which is interesting, right? So, okay, these 3 losses are not indicative of what could happen here, right? I think that he could take Bahamundes to a decision. If not, man, if he loses this one, the UFC is viable to cut him, at that point, right? He could get cut right after that, but one never knows. So, yeah, man, so that's the main and co-main event on that particular topic, talking about it briefly. Okay, so now other topics at hand that we have. So Israel versus Iran conflict, Tucker Carlson interview with Ted Cruz. All right, let's pull that up, okay? Let's talk politics for a minute and then go into UFC and then boxing and then something a little bit in between. All right. Tucker Carlson embarrasses Ted Cruz in a wild interview. All right, this is the Young Turks. Let's check out what the Young Turks have to say about this. Because you know that the Young Turks sort of lean on the liberal side. So you know that it is going to, I mean, these are 2 Republican guys that he's reacting to. So Vivek Ramaswamy for president. Well, he tried the Life of Fighting. Shout out to you, Life of Fighting. Let me know what part of the world you're from. He tried, my man, but was not successful.
Ask you a question straightforwardly, and if you say no, I think we both know that's not true. Hey, are they shaped by? Are they coordinating with the Israeli government? Are they talking with them? Yes, is Israel directing them? You want to talk about FARA, the law on lobbying on behalf of someone? Yeah. It is, I hire you and you lobby on behalf of me. I direct you. Does Israel direct AIPAC? No. What you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say, is foreign influence over our politics. No. And you began, and it's so transparently obvious to everybody.
All right, shout outs to the Life of Fighting. I am from East Tennessee. Shout out to everybody from East Tennessee. So here we go. Let's react to Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz.
It's a very weird thing. The obsession with Israel. When we're talking about foreign countries, it's hardly an obsession. You're not talking about Chinese. You're not talking about Japanese. You're not talking about the Brits. You're not talking about the French. The question, what about the Jews? What about the Jews? Oh, I'm an anti-Semite now.
Look, that is always the go-to thing that they try to, get at you with, right? Well, you're anti-this. You're anti-that. Anytime you criticize a certain group of people, and you know who I'm talking about, Life of Fighting says, what are your politics? Well, I'm a Muslim. Do I believe in a lot of conservative ideals? I do. But that's really the most that I can, get political. Now, look, here's the thing. I understand American politics a whole lot, right? In fact, I've even studied American politics to the point that I've even interned for a politician at one point during college. Right? Not necessarily something that I would be proud of, Life of Fighting, because I'll tell you what, when we had to intern for these politicians in college, guess what? The only type of choice of politicians we can really intern for. Okay? You couldn't intern for a right-wing guy. You couldn't intern for a Republican. I mean, look, it's not a secret, isn't it? Right? Colleges are dominated by left-wing politics. And as such, they're going to work for their own interests and by their own interests, and that's how they're going to move. That is the trajectory of their entire ethos and their entire motivation, and also it shows within their actions. So yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily I'm Republican or Democrat. I think that it's a foolish thing to point for one side or the other. But then there's the other side of that coin where people think that, well, you have to choose a side because we only have two parties and we don't have any more than that. So choosing anything above Republican or Democrat is just not going to work, because historically no one's going to vote for a Green Party guy. No one's going to vote for an independent unless, of course, you're Jesse the Body Ventura, running for governor. But if you're talking about big offices like senator, Congress, or president or vice president, yeah, man, you better get in line if you want to get elected. You either have to be a Republican or a Democrat, and there's nothing in between. Israel or Palestine? I'm certainly not for Israel, so I'll put it like that. You know what I mean? Certainly not for Israel. I think that their country is not necessarily good for the advancement of America. I mean, that's just my opinion. Everyone's opinion can vary on this. But I think that obviously they've led us into multiple wars, and that can't be good, right? And that's sort of the focal point argument that is going on right now, right? What is Trump's legacy going to be as president? Now, look, Trump came in the office, his new term, his recent term that he's serving right now, red hot. I mean, we're talking red hot. He came off just being shot, which gave him street credibility. He came off of a very successful campaign to which he demolished Kamala Harris in the black community when it came to votes. And so now he's faced with the task of whether to send troops in Iran or not. And if he does send troops to Iran, well, I'm telling you right now, he's going to break up the Republican Party, because you already see it. Like, you see somebody like Candace Owens, right? She's the biggest champion for right-wing politics, but all of a sudden there's a group of people that now agree with her but don't agree with her. So you could say that the Republicans are split right now into two different camps, right? Life of Fighting asks, where are you from? What is your nationality? I'm Arab, and I live in Sacramento, California. So to answer your question. So, all right, let's get to this video, and then we'll react to it. Keep the comments coming and the questions coming. Really appreciate the engagement with you guys. So let's get this cracking right here, the best way that we can do it in this beautiful California morning.
Tucker Carlson carried out what I believe to be one of the best, if not the best, interview of a sitting United States senator.
And I agree with that. I agree that that was the best interview that Tucker Carlson has ever done. But it also points to the point that I had made earlier, that right-wing politics right now is highly divided, and this is an example of that. Tucker Carlson is also on that side. There's the Hodge twins, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and then on the other side of that, there's the pro-Israeli side of, the Don't Unfriend Me show, which you guys know I've had, conflict with here in the past. But yeah, so that's neither here or there. Here we go.
That I've ever seen. It was incredible. You just heard him, in a bit of an exchange with Republican Senator Ted Cruz, who he sparred with throughout the entirety of their 2-hour-long conversation. And it's getting a lot of attention online, and I really went out of my way to try to find the points of that conversation that people aren't talking about as much. Some of you may have come across the video that went viral featuring Ted Cruz, essentially letting the world know that he doesn't know basic facts about Iran, a country that he would like to see.
And that's true. A lot of these politicians, I don't know why, man, but they have no idea about geography, which is insane to me, right? They have no idea about the Sunnis and Shias. They have no idea about, certain politics that sort of are prevalent in certain parts of the world, yet they want to interfere and mingle in it. Yeah, I see the point in that. Now, Life of Fighting says, I don't really like Ted Cruz. I am a Republican, okay, but Ted Cruz should never run for president. He was born in Canada and he was not eligible to run. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's interesting. So Ted Cruz is actually a Canadian. I did not know that. Okay, that's very interesting. Life of Fighting, man. I did not know Ted Cruz was born in Canada. Yeah, so if he was, how is it that he was eligible to do that? Because if that's the case, I mean, we might as well just have Elon Musk run for president, right? I mean, in reality, if you really think about it, if Elon Musk was born in the United States to any type of technicality, whether it was through just coming here through a plane or being an anchor baby, or was just born here while their parents were out on a holiday from South Africa, he absolutely would run for president. But I think what Elon Musk did was sort of use Trump to make himself as the shadow president, right? Like, meaning that, okay, what's the best example for this, right? The best example for this, you ever had a homie, right, that had bad credit, right? And then, let's say you wanted to rent a house, or he wanted to rent a house or rent an apartment, but he couldn't. So what does he do? He goes and uses your name and uses you as a co-signee to be able to rent a house or something like that, right? That's sort of what Elon Musk is doing in a nutshell, right? He's using Trump as a way of being this shadow president, or at least conveying some sort of power in the United States. And aside from the executive branch of the government, which is, the presidency, I mean, obviously, he was given a position that puts him right there in the executive branch, on top of that, having so much access to Washington and everything else that deals with the politics and the daily work of being a president, which is wild. But I mean, that's what you can do if you have money, power, and influence.
Regime change in a country that the United States might get involved in pushing for regime change in. Unbelievable, right? So that went viral for obvious reasons. He didn't even know the ethnic makeup of the residents of Iran. Didn't know the population. It's just, you might want to know whether or not, it's ruled by Sunnis, Shiites, like, it's just basic. If you're going to try to carry out a regime change war, you need to know the basics. Okay. I'm not going to talk about that because there's so many other topics that they touched on, including the
Life of Fighting says, I think Elon Musk is a power-hungry person. I agree. But I do think we need to cut government spending. I agree with that as well. What are your thoughts on the national debt and the overspending? Well, I tell you what, this is why Trump's presidency is on the line, because obviously there's a serious debt that is going on right now in the trillions. And then on top of that, having to send military over, at least military on an infantry level, not on a special forces level or a black operation level or a proxy war situation, which, by the way, if they're going to fight in any kind of way, I think the best advisable thing they would do is fight like this, right? Fight in a special operations type of matter, rather than using, infantry troops and just, the whole entire Navy, and then bringing a whole fleet of ships over to the Arabian Gulf, and then bringing troops to, different places. Yeah, that costs a lot of money to do that. So this is why President Trump's presidency is on the line, because if he does go on with this war, it's going to prove two things. It's going to prove, number one, he's Israel's bitch, and number two, he only does what Israel tells him to do, even against the detriment of American society. The Life of Fighting says, I know I'm going off topic from the video you were playing, so I am so... No. That's perfectly fine, my man. Listen, we absolutely encourage engagement in this. So whatever you want to ask, I am always welcome to do it. And by the way, here's something that you're going to love about this channel, right? I'm all about free speech. I'm all about free speech. Obviously, as a Muslim guy, I've had Israelis come in here and troll the entire chat, and then ended up having, a wholesome conversation, a wholesome debate on certain topics. I've had people come in here that were left-wing asking me why, I don't support a certain community, right? The LBGT, you know what I mean? Like, why I don't support, and then, we ended up having, a conversation. Look, I'm very strong in my beliefs, but I'm also very empathetic to the beliefs of others. And I think that's really the best way to describe it. So, yeah, man, I welcome it all. You know what I mean? Obviously, as a Muslim guy, I'll tell you this, right? What I'm very surprised by, and I don't know if I should be surprised by this at all, because I am an MMA page by the end of the day, and MMA, as you know, is dominated by two demographics of people around the world. You know who those two demographics are that rule MMA? Islamist, okay, people that look like me, okay, people that don't have a mustache and have a long beard, so i.e. the Dagestanis, the Chechens, and then right-wing white Americans. And then, and then there's Jon Jones. You could throw him into the mix of, American fighter and this and that. But yeah, that's literally the demographics that runs MMA. It is, Dagestani Islamist and right-wing Americans. And then you can throw Jon Jones into that mix as well, because you would imagine Jon Jones probably has a very conservative politics, right? I mean, for crying out loud, the guy lives in New Mexico, right? He's from New York. He trains in New Mexico, lives there. He could probably train and live in Los Angeles if he wanted, but, he chose New Mexico, which, as you would imagine, is a very, very conservative, right-wing Republican-based place. Conor McGregor, the fake Conor McGregor, says UFC 318 is so ass. UFC Abu Dhabi is better than any pay-per-view this year. Unc Dana loves oil money. Okay, so Conor McGregor, I think what you're saying there is that, are you saying that they're making the Abu Dhabi cards better because the Emiratis and the Saudis are paying him better? Is that why? Let me know on the comment section below and elaborate on that particular topic at hand, so that I can address it further if you would like, right? So we can have, a more wholesome discussion on that topic, because that is very interesting, right? Why would the Abu Dhabi cards be a lot better than, let's say, these normal Apex cards that we got going on? So it's a very interesting question that you had brought up right there.
Influence of something we talk about quite a bit on the show, and that's the Israel lobby. Okay, it's not the Jewish lobby, it's the Israel lobby. It's known as AIPAC.
Okay, now that's very important to understand, right? Because there are a lot of people out there that will misconstrue Jews from Israel. Okay, now, it is okay and it is absolutely normal to criticize Israel and to criticize their policies and what they do, but I don't think it's right necessarily to paint an entire brush for the entire Jewish race or the entire Jewish religion. I've met a lot of Jewish people that were very kind, that were very pro-Israel, that were very pro-Arab, but are also liberal, but are also very conservative as well. Jews come in all sizes, all forms, shapes, and, and all types of political affiliations. McGregor says, yeah, UFC Abu Dhabi main card announced yesterday is so fire. Okay, so that's what you mean. Okay, that's an interesting thing right there, right? Yeah, they are sort of setting up the bigger cards for the Emiratis. But you know what? I think that the Emirates and the UFC has been in business since 2009. And that is indicative of the event that they had with Damian Maia versus Anderson Silva, which, by the way, was their first ever Abu Dhabi card, and that was back in 2010. So, all right, continue on with this topic at hand right there. Yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. I really appreciate the questions, and yeah, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and let's continue on this topic at hand.
And I say Israel lobby because this lobby isn't about helping Jewish people across the world. This is a lobby that is powerful because of its involvement of evangelical Christians and yes, Zionists as well. And it's not to make life better for Jews in America, for instance. It's all about basically lobbying our government to carry out policies that are preferential and beneficial to Israel. And I was shocked to see that Tucker Carlson wanted to take Cruz to task over this. So without
well, you want to know why? Because Tucker Carlson no longer works for a TV network, right? He's now an independent journalist, which, by the way, interestingly enough, Trump actually made fun of Tucker Carlson for that, right? I mean, it is, you know, it's kind of a Suge Knight move in a way, the way that he made fun of him for that, because, and the context of why I'm saying that is because Suge Knight was one of those guys that was like, oh, you know, you're not your label's not signed to Universal Records, so therefore your records might not be ish, right? So he was always that guy that, you know, leaned towards the status quo of the industry. Well, Trump is saying that, well, you know, come talk to me when you get a network deal. Like as if having a network deal is going to make Tucker Carlson any bigger or less popular or more popular. In fact, I would argue that Tucker Carlson is more popular as an independent journalist than he is having a bunch of people at Fox News up his butt, you know, telling him what to do like a puppet, right? So, you know, I think that Tucker Carlson is at a better place in terms of popularity, and I think people underestimate the popularity of people that are on YouTube as opposed to people that are on mainstream TV.
Further ado, let's take a look.
I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you? Taken money from the Israel AIPAC. So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe it.
So what he's saying is that it's not the actual organization, it's individual members that give him his money. So what Ted Cruz is basically saying is sort of a loophole into how it is that he's able to do exactly that. But on any regard,
in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship,
a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Right.
And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times, AIPAC, I wish were much more effective.
My understanding, having known a lot of people
would tell you
AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay. When was the last time AIPAC took a position that deviated from Prime Minister Netanyahu?
All the time.
Name one.
Okay. Let me go back and give a little history. If you want to do a deep dive on AIPAC,
I don't. I want to do a shallow dive that gets.
No.
I want to get to the core question. AIPAC is lobbying for a foreign government, and I don't. It's not. It's lobbying for the United States.
let me tell you something, man. Tucker Carlson, shout outs to him. He would never have gotten away with talking this type of language or this type of rhetoric or these types of topics if he were in Fox News or if he worked for CNN or MSNBC or whatever, super media conglomerate that's out there. So if there's anything that you can learn from Tucker Carlson, especially people who are studying to be journalists in college right now, right? Invest in YouTube, okay? Because that's really what it is, right? I went to school for public relations and media communications, and I could have, well, put it this way, it's a lot better to go into YouTube than having somebody tell you what to do and what to say and this and that. And yeah, man, shout out to Tucker Carlson for that. The Life of Fighting says, I want to ask you who you think will be the front runner for the Democrat Party in 2028. That's a very good question, Life of Fighting. And I'm going to say this. I think it's going to be Gavin Newsom. Okay, so Gavin Newsom, if you look at Gavin Newsom, right, man, listen, the guy looks like somebody that was casted to play a president in a movie about the president, a fictional movie about the president. a fictional movie about American politics and everything that goes behind the White House. He looks like that guy. And then on top of that, this situation that you had with the riots, by the way, check out my live stream coverage that I did on the riots. Okay, some of the best work that I've done, along with the Francis Ngannou motorbike accident live streams that I've done. Check that out. But on any regard, speaking of the California riots, I think that defiance that that Gavin Newsom gave towards Trump, I think is going to catapult him into the world stage of becoming president. Because now people who are not going to like what Trump is doing, who are opposed to what he's doing, they're going to want an opposition. There is always an opposition to everything, right? Obviously, Trump was the opposition to the horrible job that Joe Biden did. Well, now for whatever criticisms you may have or whatever support you may have for what Donald Trump is doing, Gavin Newsom is the quintessential opposite party of that particular matter at hand. So if you're asking who I think is going to be the forefront Democrat Party leader in 2028, yeah, I'm going to say it is Gavin Newsom. Life of Fighting says, cool, you are a public relations major. I am a public affairs major. Okay, good. Okay, so we're basically, okay, we basically understand the same discipline. I am planning on going to a public policy master's degree later in life. Wow. All right, man. So shout outs to you, my man. You know what? I love that because you know what? I'm going to tell you what I love about that, right? It's all within the context of the fact that you're from Tennessee, right? Oftentimes, you know, us Yanks, or they call us Yanks, right? You know, especially if you're from up north. I grew up in New Jersey, but obviously I live in California now. So if you're not from the South, you're considered a Yank. So Yanks, okay, across the United States sort of have this stereotype for people in the South that are, you know, not so educated, or people that are anti-college, or people that are anti-higher education. So, you know, it's good. It's a good breath of fresh air that, you know, that someone like yourself, of your background, where you're from, and also your political affiliations and your political beliefs are sort of, you know, delving into something as important as that. And obviously, well, who knows, right? Maybe one day you could run for office in, you know, under the Republican Party, and that's always an option as well, especially with, you know, those types of majors, especially if you're studying public policies, which I would imagine sort of delves into both domestic and international politics. So, you know, shout outs to you on that, my man, the Life of Fighting. I would imagine you're also, just judging by your name, you probably train martial arts as well. Obviously, I'm a mixed martial arts channel. That's what led you here in the first place. And I tell you what, this is why I say, you know, I have a lot of right-wing fans, even though I don't necessarily completely agree with all right-wing politics. I would say that, well, you know what they say, right? You know, Muslims are a lot closer to the right wing than they are to the left wing. And I'm sure you've heard that type of rhetoric before, because obviously we're a very conservative religion. We have conservative ideals and values. And I think that is where we sort of align with many Republicans, as opposed to, let's say, Democrats that are pro-abortion. So the Life of Fighting says, I can say most people where I live don't believe in college. You know what? So that's interesting, right? That's very interesting. I hear that a lot from, you know, I have a lot of buddies that are, you know, right-wing guys, you know, blue-collar type of guys, and they sort of delve into that same mindset as well, right? And here's the thing, right? Here's one policy of Trump that I'm sort of, you know, very critical of, is where he cuts funding for education. Now, look, cutting the fundings for whatever is always going to be controversial, right? Because they're going to think that this is more important than this, or going to think that Medicare is more important than this, or maybe they don't think Medicare is more important than that. Maybe they think it's a lot more important to fix the roads. Maybe they think it's a lot more important to, fix X, Y, and Z. Oh, hold on, let me get my light going on here. Sorry. All right, there we go. So got the light going here. Yeah, I love MMA. I mostly train in judo. I'm a gold medalist in judo. Wow. Okay, a gold medalist in judo. At what level, my man? Let me know at what level you are a gold medalist in judo, and also let me know if there's a name I could look up. If it's I always love that I have interesting people that come into this page, and I had one of Kamzat's homies actually pop up in here, right? That was like, I think during the time when Dana White said that he had an announcement to make for everybody. So I did a live stream on that. He came in here, and yeah, he was basically promoting his fight, saying that he's fighting on June 28th at some local Swedish show. So something you could probably check out before the UFC 317 fight. But yeah, going back to the topic I was saying, right, this is a prevalent idea with a lot of right-wing people. They think that college is useless, but understand this, right? College, if you're not, let's say, an engineer or medical or a lawyer or maybe even law enforcement, which sort of falls into criminal and justice, sometimes you're sort of delving into jobs that are not fully secure. So what you do with that is you build a network, right? That's sort of what I did during the time I was in college, right? I built a network of people that, were in sports management, people that worked in, in different fields of, of sports teams, people that worked in media and things of that nature, and also people that worked in politics and campaigning. So overall, I think college is important. If it's not for a very useful skill, it's also for the skills of networking. That's ultimately what it's about. Which is why they have fraternities. The reason why they have fraternities is because these are the guys that are going to give you a job later on. Now, here's a crazy thing. When I went to Sacramento State University, by the way, a university that now has Shaquille O'Neal as the general manager of their basketball program, and former Sacramento Kings point guard Mike Bibby as their head coach. Okay, and then you got Uriah Faber. Now, I believe he's now the president of the Combat Sports Committee for the NCAA. I mean, he basically promoted combat sports within the NCAA, and now we have, an NCAA boxing team. He now promotes wrestling. He now promotes all these other aspects that are basically tunnel. It's basically a tunnel and a feeding system for MMA recruitment. Life of Fighting says, I am a gold medalist, but it was just a tournament in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, I won first out of the 10 heavyweights. Okay, so you're a heavyweight. All right. I am not like a major level judo guy. Okay, well, either way, it's still great. Obviously, I'm not, a major, Muay Thai guy either. But, like yourself, I've won medals and trophies in Muay Thai. I've won, Taekwondo, tournaments. When I was younger, I wrestled from the time I was probably middle school, high school. And then as I got into adulthood, I fought in MMA. I fought in Muay Thai. So, yeah, man, it's, at whatever level you do it, man, you're doing something that very few people are afraid to do. And, it's probably why you're also a very educated person at that. So,
it is lobbying for a strong U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Since 1911.
So Ted Cruz is trying to lobby for a strong Israeli-American relationship. The question is why? Why do we need Israel as a friend? And he's going to go into it as to why.
Guys, I have never seen anyone in media, okay, whether we're talking about left-wing media, right-wing media, I haven't seen a single journalist in this country ask an aggressive line of questioning like that about AIPAC and its influence on U.S. foreign policy, especially in the Middle East, obviously.
Well, I could tell you one media member that would probably ask questions like this, and it's Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit, right? Obviously, Myron Gaines, former Homeland Security federal agent, also a Muslim brother. Well, I don't know how much of a Muslim practitioner he is, but he comes from a Muslim family. He does have a lot of Islamic ideals, obviously, in the way that, gender roles come into play. Also, the aspect of, masculinity, the aspect of, conservative ideals that both come from Islam, and also his American upbringing, right? Obviously, being raised to become a federal agent, right? So, but he's very anti-Israel. He would ask these types of questions. The thing is, Myron gets blackballed because of these situations. Now, the question is, will Tucker Carlson be next? Because after this type of interview, you got to think, man, them boys are now looking at Tucker Carlson like, okay, you want to talk that smack, huh? All right, we'll see about that. So rest assured, be very careful, because Tucker Carlson could get targeted. Life of Fighting says, I think Ted Cruz is not very educated in Iran. No, he's not at all. He's not at all. I just think that I think there's other things that Ted Cruz may be very educated in, or may be an expert in. I don't think it is foreign policy that is one of them. I think that the extent that he understands foreign policy is what he reads in a teleprompter.
That was amazing. I mean, look, I hate to be in a position where I'm praising a man who I have far more disagreements with than agreements with, but I don't care. I don't care. This interview was incredible. First of all, how illuminating is it that we literally have a sitting United States senator who openly says that he came into the Senate promising to be the #1 representative and defender of Israel, of a foreign country, If that doesn't infuriate you, there's something wrong with you. He was supposed to represent this country, the constituents who voted him in the great state of Texas, right? And he feels like it's totally okay to openly say, I came into the Senate.
Look, I'll say this right now. You know who killed Kennedy? It was the Israelis. You want to know why the Israelis killed Kennedy? The reason why the Israelis unalived John F. Kennedy is because John F. Kennedy uncovered a nuclear program that Israel had going on, and as such, he wanted to stop them. He wanted to put sanctions on them, and he wanted to stop them from getting foreign aid from the United States. Now, can you imagine if the United States left Israel alone to its wholesome without any help? You better believe that those Arabs that are around that nation, they would crush Israel in a heartbeat. And the only reason why Israel has a fighting chance militarily is because of the support of the United States. Now, the other aspect of right-wing politics that I talk about, the side of Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Myron Gaines, you could throw Andrew Tate into that mix, even though he's not really American, although he is by citizenship, but doesn't really engage fully in the politics here, other than influence his voice as to say, hey, vote for Trump while I'm living out here in Romania with a British passport. But that's neither here or there. That side of the coin, they are very much against Israel, very critical of Israel. And yeah, that I think is going to be the focal dividing point of conservatives.
Senate, committed to be the #1 representative supporter. I can't remember the exact word he used, but basically to represent Israel's interests. Oh, so look, given that he feels comfortable saying that openly, which I'm not interested in having anyone in Congress who prioritizes any foreign country over our own. I'm Armenian American, right? If someone came into Congress and said, you know what, I came into Senate wanting to be the #1 representative of Armenia, I'd be like, but why? No, we have problems here. And I think...
Yeah, look, that's very true, right? It's sort of like, I hate to use this argument because it seems like a low-hanging fruit, but I don't know what else to really make an argument about other than the fact that they sort of get at Mexican Americans for waving a Mexican flag, sort of giving some sort of attention and detail to care for Mexico while being an American citizen, yet they sort of scold them, they sort of shun them, they sort of question their loyalty to America, and then you have politicians like this that do exactly that, all in the lobby of Israel, and then Here it is.
I think I finally figured out what's making Tucker tick, like what the big change with him has been. I think he's looking at the conditions we're all living in this country, the drug overdoses, the extreme poverty, the homelessness. And he's asking himself, why are we so focused on foreign conflicts or what's happening outside of the United States? Okay, so there's more, because you can tell Ted Cruz is getting a little bit uncomfortable. He's getting increasingly defensive. But then he finally just can't hold back anymore. And he says the quiet part out loud.
What matters to post-university people?
All right, so what is the part out loud? Let's, Life of the Fighting, shout out to you, sends me a super chat. Thank you, my man. Much appreciated for that. And yeah, man, everybody give shout outs to Life of Fighting for that super chat. And also, Life of Fighting, also, man, give a warm blessings to Life of Fighting and his fight in the struggle of college and making the grade, and also his pursuit of, you know, his master's degree. So shout out to him. I really respect that. I really respect people that go after higher education. And yeah, I'm very lucky to have you as, you know, as a chat member and as a viewer. So thank you, my man. Much appreciated from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. All right, so.
Contact do you think AIPAC leaders have for the government of Israel?
No idea. I imagine some. I think the government of Israel is often frustrated with AIPAC because AIPAC's not nearly strong enough.
Do you think there's any coordination between the government of Israel and AIPAC?
Do they talk? Sure. If you're lobbying for more U.S.-Mexico trade, would you talk to people in the U.S. and Mexico and the government? Sure.
My question is not, is it outrageous that foreign governments lobby the United States? They all do, okay, including Israel. My only question is, why don't we admit that is what's happening? You're denying it, but it's true.
Yeah, but what you're saying is false.
Why aren't they registered as a foreign lobby?
Because they're not.
They're not a foreign lobby.
No, they're not.
I'm only trying to get to the question of what AIPAC is, and I don't think you're being straightforward about it. AIPAC is lobbying on behalf of the interests of a foreign country, and they're not registered. And you're saying, no, that's not true. You're saying that they don't coordinate with the Israeli government.
Of course, I coordinate that. Do they talk with them? I don't know what they do. I can.
You don't know what they do. That's the problem, is that he says you don't know what they do. That's a problem. That's a problem when you don't know what it is that they do exactly. And that is why Tucker Carlson is pushing the line on Ted Cruz right now.
Why don't you care? Isn't it meaningful if a foreign government...
Hey, I talk with Israel all the time. I talk with foreign countries all the time.
But the law is, and a lot of people have been prosecuted under this law, that if you are lobbying on behalf of foreign government, you must register. That's it.
That was incredible.
Life of Fighting says, brother, I know it's just $1, but I really appreciate your video. I have to go back to work now, but you have a blessed... Yeah, you as well, brother. Thank you so much, man. Much appreciated for that. Hope to see you again, and I hope you have a beautiful day at work, and best of luck and all the blessings to your future endeavors. I'm here rooting for you, my man. Thank you so much. Big ups to you on that. And also, man, continue training as well, because, you know, obviously it's a good driving force for whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish in our life, whether it is trying to get to the next level of our college degree, or our next endeavor of, you know, master's and PhD. And then on top of that, whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish in YouTube or professional sports or the corporate world, or just any job that we have going on. Yeah, man, you know, training is the best medicine. So big ups to you, and, you know, beautiful day at work to you, my man.
Senator Cruz has never been asked those questions in an interview, ever. He did not come prepared to be asked about the foreign influence.
And the reason why he didn't come prepared for this is because he was expecting the Fox News version of Tucker Carlson. Now remember, Tucker Carlson is famous for being a Fox News anchor for the same reason why Babe Ruth is more famous for being a New York Yankee than he was as a Baltimore Oriole, which, by the way, the Baltimore Orioles were the one that bought you know, Babe Ruth in the first place, right out of an orphanage, but it was the Yankees that made him famous. Just like Tucker Carlson, I'm sure he's had a few different media jobs prior to Fox News, but ultimately it was Fox News that made him what he is. Marty Miller says, "Good morning, brother. Sorry I'm late." Yeah, man, no problem, my man, no problem. You can always rewind this back, and then you can always join us on the live. But either way, brother, I'm always appreciative that you are here as well, man. Shout outs to Marty Miller. Shout out to everybody from Ohio, Tennessee, and everyone around the world. And let's continue on with this.
Influence.
Have a good life. Have a good day. Life of fighting. Shout out to Marty Miller for that one.
Of our foreign policy through groups like AIPAC. That was so important for a conservative or right-wing audience to hear about, because it helps people to understand why policies are what they are in this country, why we pursue the type of foreign policy that we pursue. So I really appreciated that Tucker didn't, he had the follow-ups, he held Senator Ted Cruz's feet to the fire, and I think that it was illuminating for a lot of people who might not have known the extent to which AIPAC basically influences our politicians to carry out policies that don't really benefit Americans, but certainly benefit the country of Israel, and in a lot of cases also destabilize the Middle East, especially when we're talking about regime change wars. So I want to just quickly talk about the big lie that he tried to tell in that line of questioning, right? So Ted Cruz is like, no, it's not a foreign lobby. These are Americans. They're not doing any coordination.
Let's talk salary.
Great.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if they're not doing any coordination. I mean, obviously, AIPAC is a pro-Israeli organization, right? I'm not even going to say Jewish organization, because you know what? There's a lot of Jewish people out there that are opposed to Israel, right? And you can look up many countless videos of Orthodox Jews that will tell you that. So, but on any regard, AIPAC's, whether it's Jewish, whether it's Christian, whether it's Muslim, it is pro-Israeli government, and that's really what Tucker Carlson is trying to convey here.
Israel. But they literally are. So one of my favorite journalists, Lee Fong, posted this on X. Let's take a quick look at this. So you'll see a picture there of Israeli politicians, and it's a post. He quote tweeted a post by Israel Katz, and he says, Lee Fong says in his response to it, Ted Cruz told Tucker Carlson that AIPAC doesn't coordinate with the state of Israel, thus does not need to register under FARA. That's plainly not true. They discussed coordination openly. Here's an Israeli minister stating that he asked AIPAC to lobby Congress on the International Criminal Court issue. So,
Marty Miller says, Tim Kennedy talking about possible return. Is that what you're going to say? I'm assuming this is from the Brendan Schaub interview. I didn't see that yet. Is that what you're going to say? I don't know if because I think your letters got cut off here, Marty Miller. But I'm anticipating that that's what you're probably saying. And I know that he did a podcast with Brendan Schaub, so. Yeah, I guess we're going to find out, how real that is. So, yeah. Is that what you're talking about? Is Tim Kennedy planning a comeback? If so, that would be very interesting.
So Israel Katz wrote that this evening I met with AIPAC leaders, and he names them. The state of Israel owes them much for their longstanding support. I asked them to work with the administration and Congress to take dramatic steps against the decision by the prosecutor of the ICC to demand arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and the defense minister. So, I mean, that's just open admission of coordination. You have an Israeli politician openly admitting that these Israeli officials are meeting with, coordinating with members of Congress in order to get the type of policies they want. And it's total. I mean, if this were.
Marty Miller says, no, he was talking about a possible false flag coming soon. Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense. So, yeah, that's interesting. A false flag in terms of trying to create a fight with Iran, I'm assuming, right? Is that what he's talking about? I got to see the Brendan Schaub interview. I may possibly make a separate video on that regarding what Tim Kennedy is saying. Obviously, there's a lot of interesting topics we can delve off of that. With Tim Kennedy, you'll get all of that, right? You would literally get the same things that you would get out of me in this page, right? Geopolitics, MMA, and all of that, except, you know, Tim doesn't do, you know, California gang content, but I basically do, you know, very similar content to his MMA, geopolitics, and gang politics on top of that.
A group of Russian politicians, it would be considered foreign influence. It would be considered coordination. And failure to register as a foreign agent would be a problem. It might lead to prosecution.
Michael Finchbauer says, what's up, little bro? What's up, Michael? Shout outs to Michael in the house. Thank you for tapping in, my man.
But for whatever reason, Israel tends to benefit from this weird double standard. And so this is all to say that Ted Cruz, whose top contributor, campaign contributor, is in fact AIPAC, was lying to Tucker, lying to you, lying to the entire audience. Throughout his career, he has taken in $562,593 from AIPAC specifically. Just something to know about. Now, as I know all too well, if you have specific...
Isn't that illegal, taking money from a foreign government? But then again, they can't prove that Apex is from a foreign government.
Critique or criticism of the great country of Israel, regardless of how credible or valid that criticism is, you're automatically shut down as an anti-Semite. Israel defenders never substantively address the criticism or critique. And so what you're about to see is Ted Cruz essentially try to pull the same tactics. Let's see if it worked.
I chose Wix for...
Okay, so what we are witnessing right now is legacy media, okay, which Ted Cruz is part of, and he thought that he is entering in the space of legacy media with Tucker Carlson. So it's legacy media versus YouTube modern media, which is where Tucker Carlson is coming from right now. And that is why this lining of questioning is really shocking to the life of Ted Cruz. Have you met... Okay, that's a very weird question, Michael. I'm going to have to remove that comment. Very weird question, man. You know, don't get weird up in here. I know you're trying to be funny and all that, but, you know, it's not the time to be weird or to say crazy things like that. You know what I mean? So come on now.
The obsession with Israel. We're talking about foreign countries. It's hardly an obsession. You're not talking about Chinese. You're not talking about Japanese. You're not talking about the Brits. You're not talking about the French. The question, what about the Jews? What about the Jews?
Oh, I'm an anti-Semite now.
Senator, you're asking the question, Tucker. You're asking, why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy?
Senator,
that's what you just asked.
Hardly
Out of the blue question, Prince Vandro says, yeah, it is out of the blue question. He's just trying to do that to... you know, I don't know, man, you know, but Michael, come on, brother, behave yourself, man. Much love to you. You know, I appreciate you as a viewer and as a supporter of the channel, but come on now. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't ban you. I just banned that specific comment. So, yeah, let's keep it clean, shall we?
saying that, and I have...
That is exactly what you just said.
Well, actually, I can speak for myself and tell you what I am saying.
Good.
It's interesting you're trying to derail my questions by calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy, feline way implying it, or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews. There's nothing to do with Jews or Judaism. It has to do with a foreign government.
Okay, so that's a very interesting point right there, right? Tucker Carlson says it has nothing to do with Jews. It has something to do with Israel, which, by the way, is the focal point argument that I've been making from the beginning. It is Israel, not the Jews. It's a government, not a race of people or a religion. Marty Miller says they actually paid some of the clip from this interview off The Fighter and a Kid this morning. They played some of the clips for the interview from The Fighter and a Kid this morning. Oh, okay. Okay, regarding the false flag operations that Tim Kennedy is sort of citing. Okay, I will definitely check that out. Thank you for that, Marty Miller.
Israel controlling our foreign policy. That's not about the Jews.
You said, I'm asking.
And by the way, you're the one that just called me, I think, a sleazy feline. So let's be clear.
It's easy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite, which you just did.
No, I just said, why is that the only question here?
I agree with Tucker Carlson. It is sleazy to say that. Every time you make an argument about Israel, it's always going back to anti-Semite when you're not even talking about a religion or a race of people, right? You're just talking about a government. You have to understand there's a difference between a government and a group of people. Now, look, is Saudi Arabia indicative of the whole Muslim world? No. Now, do they have somewhat of a control of the Muslim world? Yeah, because they own Mecca. If you want to go to Mecca and make pilgrimage, you have to go through them. And as a result of that, well, yeah, that's the reality of the situation.
Asking you answer it. Give me another.
But it doesn't mean that when you criticize Saudi Arabia for any degree, it doesn't mean that you are criticizing Islam. And even if a terrorist group was to commit a terrorist attack, it doesn't mean that you are criticizing all of the Islamic faith or all of Muslim people. It's obviously just a criticism towards the act, the action, the group, and the people that are involved in the particular matter of the story, which are the actors at play, not the group of people as a generalized blanket statement.
Another reason. If you're not an anti-Semite, give me another reason why the obsession is Israel.
I am in no sense obsessed with Israel. We are on the brink of war with Iran, and so these are valid questions.
Yeah, those are very valid questions by Tucker Carlson, right? Because if we're going to go to war with Iran, it is not because Iran attacked America, right? I mean, Iran can't attack America to save its life. It's impossible. They don't have the capabilities or the manpower to do so.
Let's just briefly discuss the hilarity of someone like Ted Cruz, who just earlier said, I was voted into the Senate to be the #1 representative of Israel, accusing Tucker Carlson of being obsessed with Israel. And by the way, at no point in this conversation did Tucker Carlson say anything about the Jews.
That's correct. He never did say anything about them whatsoever.
And that's another tactic that gets used. I mean, I just experienced it myself when I was debating someone on her take about potentially going to war with Iran over nuclear weapons that don't even exist.
And you know what? This is the same argument that I had with the Don't Unfriend Me podcast host, Matt Spear, right? He accused me of being an anti-Semite because I had, normal criticisms about what's going on in Israel. I didn't even talk about, oh, I want to see, such and such get unalived, or, I want to see these people get hurt, or nothing like that, right? Just a simple criticism like, hey, man, I don't understand why the Israelis are going too hard at this. And just that alone, he throws the anti-Semitic thing. Same thing with Jake Shields. Obviously, he's being seen as a serious anti-Semite right now. Now, that could be just a question of how Jake may convey his message. Maybe he could have worded it a little bit differently. But overall, if these people want to mistaken you or, make it look like you are something that you're not, they're just going to do that. They're going to put paint where it ain't. And that's just really what it comes down to when it comes to this particular subject.
All he could do was accuse me of supporting Hamas. I hate Hamas. You guys know what my comments were about Hamas after October 7th.
And that's a common thing. They say, well, you support Hamas or this and that. Look, can it be possible that you're against what Israel does and you're not necessarily for Hamas, and both of these things can coincide as a reality? I mean, let's be honest about this, right? But I don't know, man. I don't think people really look at it like that.
You guys know what my comments were in regard to some of the people who are defending Hamas after October 7th. I am in no way supportive of Hamas. Oh, you love the Iranian regime. No, I just don't want to do a regime change war.
Prince Bandro says it's weird that they call you anti-Semite even though they aren't even Semitic. Correct. I agree with that. You know what? Some of them are Semitic though, right? There are Jews that are of Arab descent, which, by the way, that's really what a Semite is. If you're an Arab, you are a Semite. If you are Assyrian, if you are well, all right, yeah, I think that's only exclusive to Arabs, North Africans. That's what a Semite is. Now, look, are there Jews that are Semites? Yes, but if you're Netanyahu, whose family comes from Poland or Ukraine or Russia, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, Prince Vandro says Arabs, Persians, Assyrians, and Jews. Yeah, those people are all of the same race. The only difference between us is the religion, and even the culture is very similar, right? If you ever ate Israeli food, it's literally like eating Arabic food, right? Everything is very similar. So we share a culture, we share a bloodline, but we have different politics and religion, and that's literally where the conflict arises from.
And further destabilize the Middle East.
Now they are fleeing on boats on their way the way they came in. Yeah, very true, very true. A lot of Israelis, man, did you see that footage of a lot of Israelis boarding a plane trying to get up out of here? It is crazy for sure.
East and destabilize a country of 90 to 92 million people with no strategy, no plan in place. But it shuts down the conversation real quick when someone just accuses you of being an anti-Semite. And that's the one smear that for the longest time would stick to people. It would stick, even though there was no evidence of it. But I think those who use that tactic have overplayed their hand. Because now, so many people have spoken out against Israel's war crimes, for instance.
Prince Vandro says the food is the same because God promised it to them 3,000 years ago. Okay. Very interesting take on that one, my man.
That everyone's been called an anti-Semite if they've had the right stance in criticizing.
By the way, shout out to everyone around the world for tapping in. We're going to head into the bonus stream section right now, so stay tuned, okay? After this video is done, I'm going to play an audio, and then we're going to get right into the bonus stream. You never know where I'm going to be. I'm probably going... Hey, you know what? Hit the like button if you guys want to see me go outside and do an outside stream while we head on to the bonus stream. That's probably what I'm going to do. So everybody hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We got the live stream going. We're going to have like a 2-minute intermission right after this, and then we're going to get right back into the bonus stream. What exactly is the bonus stream? Well, you know what? The beginning of the live stream, what your job as a content creator is to attract people to come within the first few minutes and then have them stay for as long as you can. And then in the end, what you do is you give a little bit of a bonus stream, something that may not be as attractive to the wider audience of the world, but rather, some life lessons that you want to use your platform to convey, right? Because oftentimes a lot of people don't like to use their platform to convey positive messages. Sometimes I get accused of, promoting negative messages and whatnot. So I want to be able to talk about certain things, certain life topics, life stories that I think everybody could relate beyond combat sports and beyond geopolitics and all these things that we cover in this channel.
Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu for the war crimes that have been committed. So it's lost its power. And I think that as a result, it kind of empowers someone like Tucker Carlson to just be like, no, I'm not an anti-Semite. I know what you're doing here. Answer my questions. And I really appreciated that. For whatever it's worth, this is not me providing cover for anything he said in the past. This is not me co-signing onto everything that he believes. This is me talking specifically about how he handled himself in this interview, and it was fantastic. I have no problem saying it.
All right. Well, if you want to see the rest of that, it is on the Young Turks channel. Tucker Carlson embarrasses Ted Cruz. It is this title right here that you guys can check out by Anna Kasprian, who did do the reaction to this, as I'm also reacting to her as well. So, okay. So, stay tuned, guys. We're heading into the bonus stream section of this. You don't know if this is going to be 5 minutes or another 50 minutes or another 5 hours. You never know how long we're going to go on the bonus stream. It's literally what I do right after I cover all the topics at hand that I covered for the live stream. If you want to check out all the topics that we have for this live stream, that deals with Dana White and him being finally done with Jon Jones. Also covering UFC Baku card, the Israel versus Iran conflict, which is what we're covering right now. Go rewind back from the very beginning and to the start of this stream, because right now we are about to head into the bonus round of the live stream. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do a small little intermission, and in that small intermission, I'm going to play an audio from one of my videos that I have going on, and then I will set everything up for the bonus stream. I will see you guys in a little bit. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned, or just stay on right now, but like and subscribe as you stay on to the live stream. All right, so here we go. Until the UFC says otherwise.
I was ready for it. The UFC, and Tom, they all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now, Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I believe we can't really talk about it.
Understand that Jon Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall or scared of Tom Aspinall. Nobody is scared of anybody in this level, and that's something you have to understand. But what I do understand is that there is a business going on behind the scenes that many of you have to understand. Look, here's the harsh reality that many of you have to take, okay? And this is going to be very harsh for a lot of you to follow. Once they sign this fight, and I have so much confidence that they are going to sign this fight, all of you who have been saying Jon Jones is a duck, all of you who have been saying Jon Jones is scared, all of you who said, let's just get on with this, we're getting tired of it, whatever you want to say, black fatigue, fatigue this, fatigue that, UFC fatigue, whatever type of fatigue you got going on. The UFC is going to display it on their countdown show, and as a result of that, many of you are going to look like the biggest fools in the world. Ever since Jon went to Thailand, this has been Dana White's inbox as of late. People wishing for him to be stripped. Jon Jones wishing for Dana White to be there. More people wishing for him to be stripped. And then Tom Aspinall making business decisions ahead of Jon Jones away from the UFC. Well, speaking of Thailand, do you remember when Van Damme went to Thailand to try and fight Tom Poe? What exactly happened? Obviously, he was in front of a seminar, in front of a gym, just like Jon Jones, and everybody sort of laughed him off, right? That's sort of what's going on here. But here's the thing. There's a lot more to this story that I don't think many of you truly understand. Now, the reason why I say that is because there's many aspects of non-disclosure acts that many companies, such as the UFC, sort of practices. That's something many of you are not taking into consideration and quite frankly ignoring, because there's just so many noises that are going on outside of the UFC right now in terms of YouTube content creators. You want the answers right now. Well, that's not how it works in a multi-billion-dollar company. They have to do things the right way, and as a result of that, they're not going to let you know right off the bat what is going on. But I tell you what, there is a fight, and something is going to happen. But you know what? I'm going to give you the full details on this one, so let's get to the rest of the video. So Macy Barber apparently had to pull out of this fight due to an epilepsy or a seizure of some sort. And then adding insult to injury, here comes Erin Blanchfield knocking her down while she's already down, out of her luck and out of this fight. And then also talking about how she's so undisciplined because guess what? She pulled out of this fight, which sometimes maybe she has no control over. We don't know the whole underlying issues of what's going on here. But I tell you what, it builds for a great rivalry for the future. or it may show some telltale signs of Macy Barber and some underlying health conditions that she needed to take care of beforehand. But on any regard, all right. So if you guys are interested to see the rest of that video, check out Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, UFC 322 Non-Disclosure Act. My prediction of Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall possibly happening in UFC New York at UFC 322. Okay, but now, obviously, with the new video that I have coming out, I'm predicting that it's going to be January. So it's going to be UFC 324 rather than UFC 322. And that is because, well, if you want to find out, go check that out and, yeah, find out what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. Now we're in the bonus round, okay? Now, for those of you that want to check out all the topics that we talked about, rewind back from the very beginning, because what we got going on right now is the bonus round. And the bonus round I use to convey life lessons, messages, and things of that nature, right? Well, what kind of life lesson are we going to talk about today? Well, what we're going to talk about today and when it comes to life lessons is perseverance. Why is this important to talk about? I'm going to tell you why as I take a sip of this water, okay? Now, I never wanted to make this about myself, right? Only to an extent to where, all right, you know what? If you're going to make this about yourself, you know, it has to be something that is meaningful or something that is impactful, right? So the only way that I can really make this about myself is letting you guys know how hard it is to do YouTube. It is not easy to do YouTube. Now, does it come easier for me than, let's say, for others? Yes, because the other half of the battle is being able to know how to talk, being able to have an expressive language, being able to have a vast vocabulary. So that alone, okay, I'm winning the battle on that particular front. By the way, shout out to Malcolm X. He says, my brother, shout out to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. So it's very hard. It's very difficult. Also, here's another thing. A lot of people don't believe in you. And I'm talking to others out there that are going to start in YouTube or this and that. They never want to believe in you because here's the thing, right? You making it makes other people feel bad about themselves. You see, whenever you accomplish something great, whenever you accomplish something awesome, it is always going to be people that are within your close proximity that are going to be jealous of you. And the reason why is because they feel a certain type of way. They feel like they're not doing enough for themselves. And look, here's the thing. I know a lot of people love to say, well, you know what? I'm not a jealous person. Nothing, you know, makes me jealous or this and that. You know what, man? Listen, I think that's a load of bull crap, and I think it's a lie. I think that as human beings, we have a certain weakness about us that allows us to, you know, easily get jealous of other people. Big Ank MMA says, hello. How are you, my man? Shout out to Big Ank MMA, my man in the house right now. So most people, if you're trying to reach a goal of being a professional athlete, you're trying to be a YouTuber, you're trying to be an actor, or you're trying to do something big that is beyond the scope of just going to school, getting a job, and then, you know, those things are easy, right? You know, if you land a job because of a certain, you know, college degree that you have, I'm sorry to tell you, but that is easy. It's formulaic. You know what I mean? You're not doing anything groundbreaking. Like, it's crazy to me to see highly educated people that think they are a lot smarter than their actual degrees. It's the dumbest thing in the world. I've met doctors that think they know stuff about nutrition, and they don't know jack-ish about nutrition whatsoever. At least they don't know anything about nutrition in the field of sports science, like how to properly fuel an athlete and things of this nature, right? This is a common misconception that a lot of them have. And then, you know, you go into the whole COVID situation as well, right? I mean, I don't want to, you know, get too much into it because obviously those are, you know, like words that sort of get flagged and whatnot. But yeah, man, you got all these people that think they know what they're talking about when they really don't because of a certain education that they have. But understand this, right? whenever you go into this type of field, YouTubing, it is harder than doing anything else. And that is why, you know, there's bigger rewards for it. Alariza says, hi. Hey, how are you, my man? How are you? So, oh, Alariza from Iran, my man. How's everything going on there? I'm good, brother. So excited for the Baku card. Big Ink MMA says, yeah, I'm excited for that as well, too. If you want to check out my, for everybody that's tapped in, if you want to check out my breakdown or my coverage for this card, I'll rewind back from the very beginning. I do talk about it briefly and then talk about the Israeli and Iran conflict, along with Dana White supposedly saying that he's done with Jon Jones or giving him a deadline of some degree. But yeah, Elariza says, things are getting really bad. I had to leave the capital for our village. Wow. Okay, wow. Okay, so, man, this is great, man. You know, this, I mean, it's not great, you know, to hear that, but yeah, it is, you know, it's good to hear from somebody that is actually out there. So thank you for that, you know, update. Marty Miller says, I listened to your video about Francis. I completely agree with your take. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Again, it's not a guarantee that Francis will come here, but the question is, where else is Francis going to go? So yeah, man, guys, keep the comments going. You know, I'm going to address all of them while also talking about, you know, conveying a life story that, well, life lessons rather, right? I'm not here to, you know, preach my life story to anybody or this and that, but, you know, giving you guys life lessons. So understand this, no one is ever going to believe in you and your goal but yourself, you know, and you have to understand that. Most people are formulaic. Most people want a solution or a guarantee. Look, when you're in the world of entertainment, when you're in the world of professional sports, there is no guarantee. That's why the reward is higher than everybody else. But look at it like this. Would you rather make money on YouTube, or would you rather just, you know, work a normal job that, you know, I mean, you know, it seems like to no end. And look, I understand that, you know, everybody out there has a different struggle, but for me, look, I've been in all types of, you know, types of different jobs. I've been in corporate jobs with finance mortgage companies. I've been in solar sales. I've been in door-to-door knocking. I've done things in the medical field. I did, you know, nursing assistance for a while. I did things in the military. I did things in, you know, MMA. I'm doing things in YouTube. I've done it all. And the last thing that I want to do is, you know, be at a job where you're censored for, you know, saying what it is that you want to say. And you know what? And that's the kind of world that we live in right now, right? You know, but, you know, I don't say anything too outrageous anyway, obviously, because if I did, I would have my channel shut down. But on any degree, I want to be able to have a free range to talk about things. Now, for example, I'm an MMA channel, right? But I'm talking about the Iranian and Israeli conflict. Now, how is it that I'm able to do that if, let's say, I had, you know, if let's say you had a very strict corporate job or a pro-Israeli company that would not allow you to talk about that, right? There's no real freedom of speech out here. And quite frankly, a lot of people, you know, don't want to see you win by the end of it all. So Marty Miller says it's a good move for the UFC. Dana just needs to get over his feud with him. Alariza says, about 90% of the population in the capital have left for the village. I am almost certain that Israel won't stop till regime change. Wow. Yeah, that is crazy, man. That is crazy. Yeah. 90% of the people in the city. That is insane. I got to screenshot this. Yeah, I'm going to screenshot that and I'm going to send that to, I'm going to post that on my social media page right there. So, yeah, shout out to you. Our village is more populated in the holiday time. Wow, man. Wow. 90%. So, you know what? I wonder what the 10% of the people are doing. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that's making them stay in the city? I mean, maybe they're military. Maybe they are police. Maybe there are people that have businesses, or maybe they just can't afford to go anywhere right now. But, you know, that's very interesting, my man. That's very interesting, to say the least. So, yeah, man, that's crazy. The 10% had to stay because of their job. Makes sense, like police, medical people, right? You know, something to that extent. Look, I'm glad you brought that up too, right? Because obviously this is the bonus round of the stream where it can go anywhere from 5 minutes to 50 minutes. And I got to tell you, when you think about things that are going on in the world, right? All the different types of conflict, all the different types of strenuous situations that the Palestinians and the Iranians and even the Israelis go through as well. You look at that, and then you look at your life here in the West, and then you say to yourself, man, you know what? This is, you know, you have complaints about, like, you know, not getting your Starbucks order, or the fact that your internet is not working for like 2 minutes or something like that. These first world problems, right? You look at people across the world, and it's like, man, they're going through a whole lot right now. They're going through a whole lot of crazy stuff in their life. And it kind of puts things in perspective, you know? So, man, El-Kheer, I pray for you, my man. I'm glad that you're safe, though, right? I'm assuming being in the village is a lot safer than being in the city, I would assume. So if that's the case, my man, I hope, you know, I hope you're doing okay in Iran, you know? And I urge everybody in the chat and everybody to pray for El-Kheer, regardless if you are pro-Iran or anti-Iran or pro-Israel or anti-Israel. By the end of the day, we are all human, and I am a pro-human person by the end of the day. So Big Ank says, if Kunayev beats Blades, he could be fighting for a title. That's very true, right? And he's very unknown on top of that. Thanks, man. Yeah, no problem. And then there's Big Ank right there with the prayer emoji signs. Alex Rodriguez says, God bless. He has a cross and a heart. Shout out to Alex Rodriguez, my man. Shout out to you, my man. Good seeing you as well. Yeah, going back to Big Ank MMA to sort of, you know, switch gears and put this on MMA a little bit. Yeah, Kunayev's not a very known fighter, is he, right? So for him to beat Curtis Blades, a guy who has been a title challenger, okay, the guy who's fought some of the top heavyweights, has had a long win streak, and by the way, it could easily be still the dark horse of the heavyweight division if Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall wasn't around, and could probably give Jon Jones some serious problems. If you were to lose to a guy like Rizan Kunayev, I mean, wow. Yeah, he absolutely could get a title shot. So let's take a look at Rizvan, right? Because he doesn't have a Wikipedia, so he does have a Tapology page. So let's check out what this guy has going on. So he's currently 13-2 with 1 draw. He's fought Hugo Cunha. Henan Ferreira, he's got a no contest. This was during the PFL. What was it overturned? It was a no contest, huh? Okay, that's interesting. He beat Renan by decision, but got overturned. Okay, I'm assuming maybe because of steroids, right? And yeah, that was a PFL fight, so that was a pretty big fight. He fought Anthony Hamilton. I know who that is. He's an O.J. Simpson lookalike. So shout out to Anthony Hamilton. I think he also fought Brendan Schaub as well somewhere down in his career, I believe. But let me make sure that is the case. I think he did fight Brendan Schaub before, but let's just confirm that. Did he fight Brendan Schaub? Brendan Schaub. No, he didn't. No, he never fought Brendan Schaub. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about somebody else. Yeah, I don't see Brendan Schaub here at all. I'm thinking about somebody else. Yeah, I'm thinking about somebody else. Sorry, he did not fight Brendan Schaub. But yeah, man, he's only had 1 UFC fight so far. 1 UFC fight. Can you imagine this, right? I know he fought Henan Ferreira in the PFL. Obviously, we've seen how Henan Ferreira fared against Francis Ngannou. Henan Ferreira could easily be a UFC heavyweight too. I mean, look, anybody can be a UFC heavyweight at this point, right? But yeah, this is his UFC debut. if you really want to think about it, right? Which is crazy to say, because look, the Contender Series fight, it doesn't count as a UFC fight. Okay, he's got a PFL fight. Who has he lost to, this guy? Okay, he's lost to Justin Willis. Okay, that's interesting. And that's by decision. Darko Stojic, he lost to him. I believe that is in Croatia. All right, so he's only had like decision losses, really. Those are the only. Wait, no. Yeah, those are the only losses that he's had are just decisions, right? He's never been knocked out. He's never been finished. So, very interesting, man. Yeah, I like this, man. I like this matchup right here, honestly, right? But how will he do against Curtis Blades? Bro, he's got his hands full with Curtis Blades for sure. This is going to be a handful for him. Blades, Big Ank MMA says Blades also is a guy that is very hittable. He definitely is. So, Rizvan, does he have any boxing? Let's see if we can pull up any of his fights right now, okay? Let's see if we can pull up some of his fights. See what kind of, and you know what, if it's not, if it's a non-UFC fight, you know, it'll probably be, you know, very good. Or, I don't know, you know what, let's see. Let's see how he does against Renan Ferreira. I'm going to see this fight right now. I am reacting right now to the fight of Rizvan versus Renan Ferreira. Let's see how this one goes. So this was back in 2023. Okay, Big Ank says the fight was postponed multiple times, wondering if UFC wants to push Rizvan. I saw that. So check this out, right? UFC debut. This is Curtis Blades. They were going to have him fight against Martin Buday. That would have been a much more sensible fight, but that fight got canceled. Okay, and that was back in December 7th. They were going to do that. Obviously, they couldn't get it in at 2024. Now they're in 2025. Curtis Blades, he got his fight canceled with him twice in February 22 and in March of 25. And now they got him booked for Curtis Blades on June 21st. So, yeah, man, what an interesting way, right? Martin Buday, yeah, it would have been a much more sensible, right? I think having him fight against Curtis Blades is, you know, it's too soon. All right, but let's see if he has any hands, because you did say that Curtis Blades is very hittable. So let's find out at what extent is he hittable. Let's see. Okay, Herb Dean is a referee on this one in the Renan Ferreira fight, in which it got overturned, probably because of steroids. So, all right. So let's take a look at the striking of Kuniev. Okay, there's a low kick, high kick. All right. Ooh, nice front kick. Okay, really just disregarding the fact that this is a taller man in front of him. And then Ferreira at 6'8" doesn't really fight like a tall guy. By the way, for those of you that are wondering, I'm watching the Kuniev versus the Ferreira fight. I'm going to show you a little bit right now. So obviously, as we're watching this guy, he's got, you know, he's got good wrestling. He's got decent wrestling. He's got pretty decent striking as well. So that's what we're reacting to right now. All right, so he's got a body lock on Renan Ferreira. Yeah, Rizvan also looks in shape now compared to that fight. Okay, well, now you got me even more excited for that fight, Big Ank MMA. You know, if he looks better in shape for this fight, because, you know, with heavyweights, you know, sometimes they'll look a little bit chubby, but if they got a good camp, they'll start looking cut. Similar to Tom Aspinall, right? If you look at Tom Aspinall very early in his career, he looked very chubby and, You know, he doesn't look too bad in this fight. You know, he's got pretty good muscle definition, but if he has less fat going in there with Curtis Blades, I mean, look, this dude is highly explosive. You know what kind of explosion he has for a heavyweight? It reminds me of Fedor. Right, so Kanaev's doing a very good job of keeping the pressure on Ferreira right now. For those of you that are tapped in, don't forget to like and subscribe. I am reacting to Kanaev versus Renan Ferreira right now. So everybody around the world, don't forget to like and subscribe as I give you some breakdown analysis for this fight and how I'm going to see this go down with what's homeboy's name, Curtis Blades. Okay, so they just been fence fighting here the whole time. Fence fighting. Okay, now he gets Ferreira down. Yeah, Francis Ngannou took down Ferreira, pretty easy, right? I think he, sort of punched him to get down there. But, all right, so just a lot of clinching in this fight, a lot of grappling. You're really doing a good job of controlling Ferreira, honestly. And then right here, he prevents an ankle lock from Ferreira, but then, okay, now he's on the ground, half guard position. Okay, and then even at one point of this fight, he gets mounted by Ferreira, where Ferreira throws an arm triangle at him. All right, very interesting fight, man. Okay, now let's see how he gets out of this full mount position right here, right? Because this is important. This is important right here because this is where Curtis Blades could push him out right here. See this? Look, let's watch this. Ooh, okay, that's beautiful right there. But then he gets caught in an arm bar and then defends it very well. Okay, so, all right, let's see how he gets out of this arm triangle right here. I'm looking at his submission defense, his grappling defense, and, he did a very good job of, pushing Ferreira off of him. Very big, obviously way bigger than Curtis Blades. Okay, look at this. It's very tight. He's close, but then he escapes the arm bar. All right, good job. Now he remains on full, half guard position now. Okay, so. Okay, let's see some stand-up from Rizvan. Okay, this is the type of stand-up we are expecting out of Rizvan right here, right? He likes to implement a lot of push kicks. He's got a lot of low kicks as well, right? Okay, so yeah, man, he's got a good gas tank even at at the later stages of the fight. Okay, so good uppercut. Okay, so there's a lot more clinching involved right here. So okay, he's gonna have basically a serious grappling match going on with Ferreira. I'm sorry, with Curtis Blades. That's what I'm going to anticipate, right? Sohab Ahmed is laughing. Let me know what you are laughing at, Sohab Ahmed. Let me know what it is that you find so funny. All right, so, okay. All right, so, yeah, big win for Rizvan on that one, but obviously it was overturned as a no contest. So, yeah, man, that's an interesting fight, man. Yeah, shout out to Big Ank for showing me that guy. Obviously, Big Ank's specialty is Dagestani fighters, right? Would you say that's your specialty in terms of, the type of fighters you scout, recruit, and kind of analyze? Like, You know, would you say that you're an expert to Dagestani fighters? Because I tell you what, man, I didn't even know about this guy. And he's a Dagestani. But yes, you are correct. Okay, so this is why you know a lot about this guy and these types of guys. So, man, I tell you what, I'm very excited for this matchup. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought I was only going to be excited for 2 matchups in this fight. But I'm even more excited for the Curtis Blades. In fact, you know what? I think this is becoming my favorite. That's going to become my favorite fight of the night. Right, the other fights are good too. A lot of unknown names, but obviously I've talked about Hamdi Abdul Wahab taking on the brother of Kamaru Usman, Muhammad Usman, right? The heavyweight brother of Kamaru Usman, who's younger than him right there. So, you know, it's hard to call him the little brother because he's obviously not so little in comparison to, you know, to Kamaru Usman, right? You know, a very huge individual at that. So, all right. So, what else? What else could we talk about or go into with this one? I think that's all that I have for this one, guys. Thank you, everyone from around the world who's tapped in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm also going to, Jones said in a video with the Nelk Boys, he don't want to fight Tom next. What? What? Oh, man, Big Ank MMA. I think you just made me, you know, do my next video right now. You know what? As a matter of fact, let's take a look at this. Nelk Boys. Jon Jones. Is this a full interview? 2 hours ago. Okay, 2 hours ago. Wow, there's a video, yes, and it was just 2 hours ago. All right, let's get to it.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a
Okay, so I'm going to put 2 hours and 5 minutes. Jon Jones does not want to fight Tom. Wow, okay, this is big. Okay. Bonus. All right. So after all the waiting that we've done for Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones has come out on the Nelk Boys podcast stating that he does not want to fight Tom Aspinall. We're going to find out why right now. Let's get to the video and let's get to the Nelk Boys. Let's skip all of this, all the intro, and just get right into Jon Jones talking.
Do you love being in Miami?
I absolutely love Miami. Do you love Miami?
I love Miami. I moved here about 1.5 years ago.
And I'll bet Jon Jones loves other elements of Miami, but that's a conversation for another time.
So, where are you from originally?
I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Nice.
But I lived in Cali for like 6 years. And then during COVID, we moved out here.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada. You never fought in Canada, right?
I did. I fought
in?
against Alexander Gustafsson.
In what city? Toronto or Montreal?
Oh, man. I think it was Montreal.
Montreal?
Yeah, years ago.
How was it up there? Was it electric?
Awesome, dude. I love the Canadians. You guys are always like, sorry?
Sorry?
Yeah.
We're polite, right?
Yeah, you guys are very polite.
Bro.
That's true. The Canadians are very polite, right? And obviously he's had experience training with George St. Pierre, so there's nobody that's more polite than he is. Surprised UFC didn't vacate him yet, Big Ank says. Well, Big Ank, the reason why they probably didn't vacate yet is because they probably know something that we don't know, or maybe John's just trolling everybody. Let's find out.
To me, it's just crazy because, like, I've been watching UFC for, like, a long-ass time, too, since, like, the Spike TV days. And, like, how have you been in this, like, how have you been fighting so fucking long? Like, your first fight was 2008.
I think I'm a little bit of a vampire. You know, I'm just always around.
Your second fight was on the same card as...
I like that. He says that I'm a vampire. If you don't know what he means by that, vampires live for a very long time. You ever seen the movie Interview with a Vampire by Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise? It depicts vampires that have lived throughout centuries. And just like Jon Jones, he went from the Cain Velasquez, George St. Pierre era to the Ben Henderson era to the era of Conor McGregor, and now to the era of Ilya Topuria, Islam Makhachev, Khabib, so on and so forth. And he's still here.
GSP BJ Penn 2.
I was gonna ask you about that. Are you I would imagine GSP is your
Huge
number one.
GSP fan. Yeah, GSP inspired me, like...
Same.
But like,
Yeah.
John, your second fight, like I said, was on the same card as GSP,
Yeah, actually,
BJ Penn 2. For UFC, like OG UFC fans, like...
I think my first several fights were GSP cards. Like I was under.
That makes a lot of sense. He was in GSP undercards. Very interesting. Very interesting. And obviously, they're both training partners as well for a very long time. And yeah, they were both from the Greg Jackson's camp. Obviously, GSP has his own camp in Canada, but he does mingle and train down in, down there. So,
Car guy, and just being around him, man, he inspired me so much. I saw his professionalism. I saw the way that he dressed. You know, he was one of the first guys who had suits on. I saw that he had meaningful men around him, not just a big entourage, but like everybody on his squad had a big purpose. And I really wanted to model my career after him. I think I did. You know, meeting Greg Jackson and Faraz Sahabi, and yeah, George is one of my greatest inspirations.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just so crazy that like you've been through so many.
Big Ink says UFC 94, Jon Jones versus Bonner on a GSP. Yep, they mentioned that here, yeah.
Many different, like, eras. Like, you fought Rampage Jackson, you fought Lyoto Machida, you fought Rashad Evans. What do you think was the most dangerous Jon Bones Jones?
The most dangerous? I mean...
Not that you're not dangerous now, obviously, like...
I was going to say that. I think it's the guy that I am today. You know, I don't have the reason.
Yeah, but you know what? There's one guy that doesn't think you're dangerous. Well, there's two, actually, and that's Francis Ngannou and Tom Aspinall.
Sources, I know how to train. I know how to win. I would say it's the guy that I am today. But, I don't know. You know, youth is always in a great advantage. You know, just feeling just lively and, you know, just... It's all been great, man. I undeniably, it's just all been great. Every chapter of it.
No one's talking about Rashad Evans or Rampage Jackson, like, fighting again. So it's like, for you to, like, fight those guys, like, I don't know, it's just so crazy. But
well, I was a lot younger when I came into the sport. You know, I started really young at a super high level.
Who's this says Jones ended Aspinall's career without even fighting him. That's very true. Because you know what? He made him wait for a very long time. And as a result, it took some years away out of his prime wasted, right? Just for Jon Jones. And look, Tom is starching everybody left and right? A guy that's starching everybody like that should be on a fast track to the next fight, and on to the next fight.
And, yeah, that's why the guys aren't around anymore.
Do you think anyone will ever break your record as youngest champion?
No.
Still dreaming about...
Yeah, I don't think that a lot of people are going to break that record, only because, you know what, it takes such a long time to develop your MMA skills that being a champion at a very young age is going to be very difficult in MMA. Probably a lot easier in boxing with the likes of Moises Otama and Mike Tyson historically, but doing that in MMA is going to be a lot more difficult because right now, if you look at most of the champions, most of them are either in their late 20s, nowhere near in their early 20s and whatnot. But yeah, that's the reality. That's the reality of it, right? You just have to develop.
Winning, you know, I break, you know, just like the winning, all the winning, you know, on the highest level is going to be very hard to do, especially as the sport progresses.
And that's exactly what I said, right? As the sport progresses, it's going to be very difficult for people to do that. And Jon Jones was at a very unique time of his career in order to do that. If you remember, the reason why he was able to fight Shogun was because Shogun had to pull out. You remember? He had to pull out of that fight. I'm sorry, not Shogun. Rashad Evans had to pull out of the Shogun fight. So here we are.
Just like anything, you know, things get better. The science, you know, the training, the methods get better. I don't think Babe Ruth could compete with the guys today. I think the fighters of the future are going to be very tough. And it's going to be very hard to do what I've done.
What drives you like right now is like a person. Like you've achieved so much. You're obviously the GOAT. Like I said, you fought on fucking GSP BJ Penn in 2008.
I know, I've been around for a while.
You have kids now. You just had a son.
Yes.
What like really drives you now and motivates you?
Well, it's the family is my reason why, right? And then just knowing that God gave me an opportunity to be just different. I feel like I owe it to the world to give things back. One of the main things I want to give back is just inspiration. Like people know that there's nothing in the world they can't do, whether it's winning a fight or getting over adversity. And so that's my driving force. I coach that used to say to me all the time, John, because you can, do it because you can. And I think men should know that, and women around the world, we can. And that's what drives me, is just being tough, being strong, and just being my small contribution to the world.
I know you guys have heard me talk about the Moon Payout before, and honestly, I'm not going to stop. The Moon Payout on.
All right. Well, we're basically just him talking about his, career trajectory and whatnot. All right, let's get to the juicier parts right now.
I want to talk to UFC with you while you're here. Who do you got? I guess it's tonight, like in a few hours. Usman Buckley.
Great beer, huh?
It's great seltzer. You like it?
I do.
It's only like 100 calories, 1 gram of carbs. So I used to drink Coronas. It was like 13 grams of
I
carbs.
feel like Snoop Dogg recommended it. It just. I feel like I shouldn't like this as much as I do, but it's fucking good.
I love it, bro. It's my favorite flavor.
You're going to see me in a few cases. Right? My friends back in Albuquerque, we're all going to.
Who do you got tonight?
Who's fighting tonight? Buckley and
Buckley and Usman.
I have a better relationship with Usman. I always ride with my dogs, so I'm going to say Usman. And he's a wrestler. And he's an old head, so you got to see him give it a good hoorah.
I saw, so Ngannou is cornering him, and he's wearing like UFC shit, like UFC, obviously, like. Do you think?
All right, so now he's asking about Francis Ngannou cornering Kamaru Usman, which, is part of this whole entire story. But take a look at the video that I made about Francis Ngannou possibly re-signing to the UFC.
Do you think there's any like negotiations going on there or anything?
I think Dana gets things done, and I think business speaks before emotions. And Francis.
There it is. If Francis is going to sign, it's going to be because business runs over emotions. That's what it is. Francis versus Tom is a fight. That would be crazy. Yeah, that would be, right? But once again, take a look at my video that I made about Francis Ngannou re-signing to the UFC, because I do go in there and talk about how there were matches that we wanted to see in boxing, such as Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, but instead we got Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, and we saw what happened to that. Could it be a very similar situation with Francis and Tom? Who knows?
Present himself in a humble way, and I think that he could very easily be back in the UFC.
So you think there's a chance that he ever comes back to the UFC?
Yeah, absolutely. Dana White's he's one of the best sports minds in recent history for a reason. And when he talks, Francis brings eyes, and I'm sure Dana will be interested.
But I feel like also, like, I'm good friends with Dana too. Like, he's done so much for me and like our whole career that I can't even explain. But I also feel like once you piss him off.
Yeah, you're right about that. He's definitely done a lot for your crew, including give you guys money that he should have been given to fighters, which, by the way, is the reason why many people are mad at the Nelk boys for being even part of the whole UFC media team.
You're kind of on that shit list, and you're fucked.
I mean, I feel like I'm
and I feel like Ngannou's kind of on that, where it's just like.
I feel like I'm an example of like, people, they grow and mature, and time changes things, time heals all. And there were moments in my career where I felt like Dana absolutely hated me, and now I feel like, he's a big advocate for me.
I feel like he also has a soft spot for people too, and like I feel like you were maybe sometimes on the shit list, but like he has a soft spot for people once he loves them. Like I feel like he always loved you.
Yeah, Big Ank says exactly. Nina, Nelk boys, all of that, all these media, paid media people of the UFC, basically shills, as what many of us in the MMA space like to call them.
Like, you might be on a shit list for a little bit, but also, like, he still loves you, and he's always had your back.
It's changed my life, man. The Fertitas, the UFC has absolutely changed my family tree. And I'm sure there's a part of him that feels as if, I'm a personal project for him. He created one of the greatest martial artists of all time. He was a big part of it, giving me the platform to show myself. So I think he respects me, and I'm grateful for it, and I respect him too dearly.
What was, like, one error or one, like, moment where you really pissed Dana off?
Oh, UFC 151. Yeah, me refusing to fight Chael Sonnen. That, man.
I remember that. He refused to fight Chael Sonnen because Dan Henderson had to pull out, and as a result, here comes Chael Sonnen, but he didn't want to do it at a short notice.
He just didn't see the logic in it,
And Chael Sonnen was very dangerous back then, if you guys don't remember. Chael Sonnen was a very dangerous opponent for Anderson Silva. He almost beat Anderson Silva. I mean, regardless of the fact that you could say that Anderson Silva had a rib injury, but that's neither here or there.
And they're creating the art, then it's easy to just say how easy it is, to create the art. But, I respect the process, and I have to show respect in the way that I do things, and that is them all.
So the reason why he didn't take the fight with Chael Sonnen is because he wanted to respect the process of a training camp rather than just go in there blindly against a very dangerous opponent.
So,
what happened? Like you just refused?
Maybe it was Dan Henderson I was supposed to fight. He canceled the fight, got injured. Supposed to fight Chael Sonnen instead. Dan Henderson and Chael were really good friends, and I just assumed that they were going to lose. And I didn't want to put myself in any type of disadvantage. Until I taking the fight last minute, despite how above people perceive that I was. I just humility and respecting the process tells you to put in the time which was great. It was all divine because I ended up getting a coach against Chael Sonnen, the ultimate fighter, and then fighting him, and it was fucking amazing.
That's crazy.
Absolutely amazing. I like talking about Chael Winston just because he's such a bitch.
All right, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to Shopify. This one's true to my heart because we've been using Shopify.
All right, so yeah, obviously that was a big conflict at that time, right? A lot of people were mad that Jon Jones did not want to fight because there were a lot of fighters in the undercard that were looking forward to making that money, and as a result, well, you know, Jon was not able to hold up his end, and quite honestly, it was his right. Look, I like guys that will take fights on a short notice. Khabib has done that. Many greats have done that. Conor McGregor has done that. It doesn't mean that Jon Jones had to do it.
In terms of like U.S. best spots to celebrate, like Miami, Vegas.
Well, Vegas, you know, I pretty much grew up in Vegas, achieving big goals. You know, so Vegas is always gonna be very dear to me.
But in terms of like once you achieve that goal, work's done, you've been training. What's like the top 3 spots in the U.S. to like just fucking let loose?
Miami's Miami, right?
Miami.
And there's Las Vegas. I genuinely love living in Albuquerque, Mexico. That's my home. I just love
Albuquerque's not a party spot.
Bro, call me a build and you won't be outside for too long. Yeah, I really love that community.
What was your biggest like celebration night after a card?
It's hard to say, man. You know,
like what card after did you just sell hard?
Yeah, Big Ink says short notice fights either go your way or they end up bad, like Volk versus Islam 2. Correct. Or the other aspect of that is Michael Bisping versus Luke Rockhold Part 2.
I think my biggest celebration is learning how not to celebrate. You know, just to know that it's not a coincidence. It's a habit. You know, it's just what we do. Our team is used to winning. You know, my coaches are used to look at me in the eye, smile and hug, and say we did it again. And the night my coaches go to the hotel room, you know, there's no after parties really. And I think I got to a stage in my life where it wasn't about drinking afterwards or like really even celebrating afterwards. It was just like, you know, just giving back to team.
Look, that's interesting, right? So he asked him, hey, what was your biggest celebration ever? And then Jon just said, hey, you know what, man? There's a point in my career where we really don't celebrate anymore. We just go back to the hotel, we do our thing, and then that's it. You know, hey, good job. You did a great job. That's it. And very similar to the Dagestanis, right? Look, there are no after parties. There's no drinking. There's none of that. It's just, you know, win, celebrate, go eat some good food, and then watch Netflix, and then train again Monday.
Jones, you know, allowing them to feel me closer. You know, I guess that was a big graduation for me. It was just like,
how did you officially flip that switch over after like so many years?
I feel like when you know what the job requires and then you expect the job to be done, like you just get better at it. You know, like for example, pre-fight dinners, I slowly stopped doing that. You know, just realizing that the energy needs to be harnessed. And then even you know the post-fight, you know, parties, just like when you expect to win, you just behave differently, I guess.
When you expect to win, but I guess it just gets old, right? Like
it's not old. When you looking for clickbait,
no,
winning's not old. No, man, it's something that you should be grateful for always. Yeah. Always, it's a privilege to do what you love and be good at it.
All right, guys, also really quick, fullsend.com, we just restocked it, ton of new golf shit.
Yeah, so that's a very good point by Jon Jones, right? He says that, you know, you have to be very appreciative of every win, but he gets to the point where now he just feels like, you know, winning is normal. Now, look, this sort of goes into the psychological factor of Jon Jones, right? How will he deal with a loss, especially when he said that I can't deal with a loss if I had to deal with a loss?
Is Jon Jones retired? Is he fighting again?
I don't want to say that I'm retired because fighting is in my blood. Right now, I could really care less about fighting. I've been doing it my whole life at a very high level.
This is a very dangerous spot for Jon Jones to be in. I'm going to tell you why. You have to care about fighting. If you don't care about fighting and you care about other things, man, the next time you go out and fight, it could absolutely damage you. And Tom Aspinall has the high propensity of doing that.
And when the edge comes back, and if it comes back, then I'll do it with my whole heart. I'll do it to the best of my abilities. But right now, I look around and I realize what's true, what's real. I see the way people look at me and the way I make people feel. And it's an extraordinary thing. It's a true blessing.
What he's trying to say is that he cannot believe the type of impact that he has going on to where people are so invested in his life and his decision going into this Tom Aspinall fight.
Now my job is to serve that, give that to my fans, be reachable, touchable, let them know what I have inside. That's who I am right now. I've punched and kicked enough people.
Because, yeah, everyone's wondering, it's like, is Jon...
He's saying he's punched and kicked enough people. In other words, there's a good chance that he may not go back into this fight with Tom Aspinall. That's literally what he's saying here. And look, man, I want to see this fight, but this language right here doesn't really seem like a guy that wants to fight. Or you also have to take into consideration, he may be playing possum in order to keep up with the gag order or keep up with the non-disclosure act that the UFC has imposed upon him and Tom.
Jon Jones, I saw that there was something. Do you see something online? There's like 150,000 petitions. Jon Jones vacates the title. But I guess people are waiting for like, I mean, you might have to make like an official retirement thing or like.
I'm a company guy, you know, and there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes where my job is just sit and be still. And
what did I tell you? My job is to sit and be still, also known as a non-disclosure act, also known as not exposing anything that the company is telling you not to. And he flat out told you that he's a company man, and that's what company men do. They are either going to play possum or they're either going to not give you any information at all.
And take the punishment.
In my opinion, everyone asks me, like, friends, and I'm like, I just think Jon Jones is a master negotiator. He's waiting for the bag he deserves.
Well, that too.
If anyone deserves a huge fucking paychecks, it's someone that has fought since 2008. And I think you're just...
Well, there's a lot of guys that have fought that long, like Jim Miller, but they are never going to get that opportunity, and among many others that are on the roster. But that's just how the cookie crumbles.
A smart guy, in my opinion.
What's that Italian phrase? Came, saw, and conquered. That's genuinely how I feel. It's been great, man. Life's been so amazing.
What do you
saw
think
the way that I just didn't get into that conversation at all.
What's that?
I didn't get into that question at all with you. It was just...
Not really.
Just curved it.
What do you make of, like, Tom Aspinall and all the things that he's been saying about you?
I think he's awesome, man. I think he's awesome. I think he should go on and have a wonderful career.
Do you think that...
He said that he should go on and have a wonderful career. I don't know about that, man. Fresh Melon Juice says, I like cookies that doesn't crumble. All right, that's a good response right there. So he likes Tom Aspinall. He wishes for him to go on with his career. What does he mean by that? Again, more cryptic language.
That he needs you?
No, I think he needs me. I think when you want something bad enough, and if you get it, it could be the worst thing that could ever happen to you.
Whew, that was dope. I personally think as a fan...
He said, if you want something so bad, it may be something that could be very bad for you. It reminds me of this quote from the Quran. I think you guys know what that is. You guys can look it up. But, yeah, it's a quote from the Quran.
Fan, like, I respect Tom, like, but I think that he needs that fight. You know what I mean? I don't know what other... I mean, there would be cool other heavyweight fights, but obviously, like, versus you, it would be insane, right? So I know he really wants that fight.
I love being the ultimate troll. I'm in a spot right now where I'm really enjoying the fruits of my labor, all the hard work I put in. He's not in a position. He's not in a position to, like...
Here we go. Jon Jones playing the heel role right now, and I'm going to show you his facial expression as he is doing this.
Excite me. It's just the truth. Because if I whoop his ass...
He says it doesn't excite him at all. It doesn't excite him at all. Okay, I wonder why he's saying that, right? But again, he could be playing possum. Okay, we got to find out one way or the other.
It's gonna be this. It's gonna be the next guy. There's gonna be a whole new fan base of somebody who everybody believes in. I've done this my whole adult life. I remember Rampage fans years ago. Rashad fans and Lyoto fans. I literally have replayed this story so many times in my life.
But as a fan, don't you think maybe the fans are just waiting for Jon Jones to be like a Khabib moment in the ring where it's like, yo, I'm done? Like, don't you think maybe the fans are waiting for Jon Jones after all these years, after all these goated fucking years to be like, I'm done?
My job with the UFC is to do what's right for the company. I could easily just say, I'm not fighting. My job is to chill. That's what I'm doing.
I know, you're a smart guy. Do you think...
There you have it. That's literally what Jon Jones is trying to express here, okay? He's trying to be a company man. So for those of you that are saying he's not going to fight, and for those of you that were hoping to watch this live stream or something that's going to turn into a video later, expecting me to say, well, Jon Jones say he doesn't want to fight, the answer is we don't know. But if you want to see the rest of this, go check out the Nelk Boys interview with Jon Jones' response to Tom Aspinall speaks on his relationship with Dana White. I'm basically leaving out just the final 2 minutes of that. You guys can check out the rest. I basically covered all of that, but we're gonna finish the the entire video for that in the live stream section. But for those of you that are watching this in the future for the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, inshallah. And for those of you that are in the chat, stay. All right, so let's finish this off. I just wanted to get those 20 minutes for that video and basically, yeah, you know, finish off the live stream on this one. Let's hear what he has to say in these last minutes right here.
After the UFC, let's say you do fight again, would you ever do a fight in like dirty boxing or something?
Yeah, I think I will fight again in the future. I think I will fight again. And where the future of combat sports is going, it's going to be amazing.
Juice Man says, I'm pro Jon Jones. What's up, Sacktown OG? Shout out to Juice Man 562 from the LBC. Shout out to everybody from the LBC, Criptown, USA, baby.
When I pop back up. But right now, I'm just.
C says, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh to you, brother.
Focused on so many other things, like family and like building my house, like building this brand.
I just don't like even the fact that you fought Rampage Jackson and now, like, no disrespect to Rampage, like he's a legend, but it's like no one is talking about Rampage Jackson fighting again. So it's so crazy that like you fought guys in that era, like the OG UFC era, and people are still talking about you like coming back and fighting.
The biggest form of flattery is to be my age and to have the hearts of my fans still. Like, literally, whether you love me or hate me, whether you want to see me do it again, or maybe think that I've met my match, I have the hearts of the fans. And as an athlete, what more could you ever ask for?
Well, you know what? You will have the heart of the fans when and if you do pick up and take this fight. But even if you don't, I think history will be very favorable to Jon Jones's legacy, even if he doesn't take this fight. But there's a part of me that believes Jon is crazy enough to go and take this fight with Tom Aspinall.
What would it take to fight Tom Aspinall from the UFC? Like, what does the UFC got to do?
Said something real wild on off the cuff. I'll see you guys later.
That's it.
Yeah, right. Thanks for the happy
Jon
beer.
Jones, the legend. Jon.
All right, well, that's the way that he ended the interview, and this is the way that I'm going to end the live stream. I want to thank everybody around the world for tapping in. I want to give a special shout outs to C, Juice Man 562, Big Ank, Fresh Melon Juice. Also, Who's This? Shout outs to Who's This? I'm not saying Who's This, I'm saying the actual name. Shohab Ahmed, shout outs to you. Zufil Kareka, shout outs to you. Alex Rodriguez, shout out to you. El Riza from Iran, shout out to you. I hope you are safe. Big Ank MMA again. Marty Miller, shout out to you. Very loyal fan of the page. Prince Vandros, Malcolm X, shout outs to you. Marty Miller as well. Michael Fitchboyer, shout out to you. Life of Fighting, shout out to you, and thank you for the super chat. The Conor McGregor, or the fake Conor McGregor, shout out to you. With the burner page, Watch Clown Show, shout out to you. LOL, shout out to you. QZ, shout out to you. Sarah May, shout out to you. And QZ once again, and everybody around the world, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. I'm probably going to drop a video about this Jon Jones situation. And the crazy part is, some of you have already seen it. But I'm going to do a little bit of some editing and a little bit of an intro to that. I will see you in the next video, the next live stream, the next content to come, inshallah. And God bless everybody around the world.